What are you getting after? What seeds are you planting? What are you overcoming? Think big. Think even bigger. Take some risks. God's got your back. Go for it. Don't hold back. Don't ever have regrets in your life. Go fail. Go grow from those things. Live your life.
Your identity is not defined by your successes or your failures.
If you're not happy where you're at, you won't be happy where you're going. Choose to do the things that will make you the person you want to be, that will make you a better person next week and next year.
You're going to have to leave some things you're actually good at behind so that you can find what you're wired for, what you're born for.
Being a world-class entrepreneur is being in every area of life excellent.
It is the little things that are so easy not to do.
The best thing that you can do is assume the best in people.
I want people around the world to believe they can do something great with their life.
If I build the biggest business, but I destroy my physical body and I lose my health, I don't think that's success. While you're on the journey climbing to success, never forget the things that matter most.
Welcome to 2020. I'm your host, Jonathan Frederick. Just straight up apologize for the last couple of weeks not coming out with a show over the holidays. I messed up and I didn't have things prepared in advance. I was flying around for Thanksgiving. I was flying around for Christmas. A lot of things were going on. Not to use that as an excuse, just wanted to be upfront and honest with you guys. I'm going to be more vulnerable this year than ever before, at least try to be, sharing the journey as I go. So that's why I wanted to start out 2020 with sharing some of my failures from 2019. 2019 was an interesting year, a very interesting year. It started out immediately. I was getting recalibrated and focused and starting an initial financial healing process by submitting to wisdom, straight up submitting to wisdom, meaning following direction from wise sources, even when I didn't understand it, even when I didn't want to do it, even when it hurt, big adjustments. That is true submission, where you're like, all right, this is going to work, even though it doesn't feel good. I don't want to do it. And it is, yeah. So that's how I started 2019. I'll go through the list of my top 3 failure habits and also top 3 success habits. I don't want to sit in failure at all. One of the main reasons I am doing this is to hopefully encourage you, the listener, to realize that as your host, I have no preconceived goal to appear like I don't fail all the time, because I do. Because everyone's had failures this year, to just be like, hey, it's okay, let's keep moving forward. It doesn't take away from your worth or who you are or anything like that. I felt like my top failure habit was letting the year get away from me. And in that, I mean, I wasted too much of my free time. And I convinced myself I was doing enough in the day, or even though I had more to do, and that I even had far more left in my tank. I convinced myself that, I worked hard enough. Number 2, delaying action taking and decision making. One of the things you'll realize as you begin to take more and more action in your life and execute on your dreams and your vision is it's really not a big deal. There's people far ahead of you, even centuries ago, who have done it and done it bigger and faster and better. So just do it. And the more action you take, the more you realize, that really wasn't a big deal. Simply by delaying or waiting to take these action steps, we make the next step seem more like a mountain. And again, going back, I just said that next step, because that's what it is. It's a step. A step isn't that hard. I mean, versus a mountain that we make it into by delaying. When I say that, it's not that I didn't do a lot this year. It's really just aspiring to that ideal self, that ideal life that I know I can live if everything's in line. And, there's always going to be failures, but that's the number one thing I learned from interviewing so many people thus far who are successful. And when I say successful, again, I mean success, I believe, is a worthy pursuit of a noble goal. Failing faster is the number one thing you need to do to get to success. And if you continue to go in these thought patterns and these circles and this overanalysis and just consumption stages, you will never do it. Then you'll be dead. That is a harsh reality. That's the number one thing we can all agree with. We are all going to die. I'll jump into number 3, top failure habit. I didn't set aside adequate time, periodic times, to review personal life goals or my overall vision. That is a huge mistake. Why? Because 1, when you do that, it really reinvigorates your spirit, your soul. It reminds you and replenishes your sense of hope and faith in the process, and knowing that it's all going to work out, and staying focused on what matters and recalibrating certain areas that have gotten 1 degree, 2 degrees off track. And that's a very huge thing. So I would recommend, if nothing more, at least quarterly, set aside a full day, if not a couple hours on a Saturday over the weekends when the new month starts. Even monthly would be even better, but at least quarterly. And I didn't do either of those. I didn't sit down and set aside time quarterly. I didn't sit down and set aside time monthly. And I will and want to do that in 2020 because I know it's absolutely crucial. It's hard in the moment and that's why I say set aside. You need to schedule it into your calendar. It has to be respected and honored. That time has to be set aside and treated as an appointment with your most important client. It doesn't matter. You have to do it, or else it probably won't happen. All right, now, top success habits of 2019. And this is another thing. I think that the way truly long-term successful people think is they never really feel like they always believe and know that they could have done so much better, and they don't really give themselves much, if any, credit. So I'll be honest with you, coming into this activity of just identifying simply the top 3 failure habits and top 3 success habits from my 2019, I didn't even know how to or want to acknowledge these top 3 success habits. So yes, what I am doing is I am saying that I think that is a good sign, in the sense that's encouraging for you to know, hey, maybe you don't believe in yourself enough, or you don't give yourself quite enough credit where credit is due, because you're so aware of the fact that you could have done so much better. If you feel discouraged by that fact, I would encourage you here and now and let you know and remind you that, hey, the most successful people, they also know where and how they could have done better, and that is their main focus. The win isn't the main focus, because again, the way I believe is yesterday's success, it matters, but it means nothing in terms of today's success. Celebrate for a brief 5 minutes and then on to the next. Top 3 success habits of 2019. This year flew by, didn't it? I really believe that 2019, out of any of the years in the past, has gone by quicker than any other year I've ever lived. Number 1 was consistent work on what needs to be done. I focused in deeper on specific topics rather than surface level across a ton of different topics. Adopted a long-term, long-game focus on my business and life. At the beginning of 2019, last year, I met with a financial mentor. They told me to realize that there are no shortcuts, and I adopted that belief. That was empowering, and let me tell you why. It gave me full confidence in my decision to push hard for the long term, versus being fearful I'd be missing out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in the short term. Let me say that again. It was empowering to realize that there are no shortcuts. And again, it was empowering to hear it from somebody in their, I think, 50s or even older, perhaps, maybe not. Someone 3 decades ahead of me, to have that person look me in the eyes and say, there is no shortcuts. That was so empowering, because you can hear that from a fellow peer who's 20-something or 30, in their 30s, and they can say, oh, there's no shortcuts. And you're like, yeah, but maybe there kind of is. It's like, no, there really isn't. And guess what? Here's a person who has made it. They've done the entrepreneurial, risk-tolerant lifestyle their whole life. Not until their late 40s or even 50s, I believe, did they actually find something that actually hit and yielded success. So that said, that was encouraging and empowering, because then I realized, all right, even if it's boring, even if there's parts of the process I don't particularly love, I can still have full confidence in pushing hard for the long term. Life is decades, and it's not just about the 1 year. Number 2, financial discipline practices. I really went into this year by signing up for Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University, which I would highly recommend anyone take. I was going to a local establishment to go through those courses with a group of probably 20 to 50 other people who were going through the same course at the same time. And I got to see people in their 40s, couples in their 50s, single people in their 60s, all in financial confusion, getting clear on payments, getting clear on financial success and what that looks like, and getting clear on terminology and learning how to do accounting and learning how to better actually create a budget and stick to it, and learning how to leverage tools that make it easy. Because I'm pretty lazy, so I find the easiest possible route to get something done. All that said, that was number 2, financial discipline practices. I budgeted every single month, and I have to say, it really is freeing. At first, it's a huge adjustment, and it's a commitment. One thing I did fairly well in 2019 was I prioritized my health, and I also did that with expressing gratitude at the end of almost every day and throughout my days. My journaling sessions, however infrequent that those were, I definitely noticed a huge benefit from maintaining health. I did increase my investment into my personal health with, massage subscription. That definitely helped as I work out really hard consistently in the gym with strength and resistance training. That's important for me. I see a chiropractor every other week. Gratitude was by far the most beneficial health practice that I implemented. I want to touch base on all this because 2020 is here. There's been failures, there's been wins. 2019 was fast, it got away quickly. But before I go on this episode, I want to share that 2020 is just another year, right? You have a choice. You have a choice right now in January what you're going to do with every single day you are blessed with in 2020. You have the choice. You have the control to decide what you're going to do. What will that look like? Where will you be at the end of this year? This time in 2021, where will you be? What house will you be living in? What friendships will you have built or let go of? What will your business look like? What will your work life look like? What will your finances look like? What will your relationships look like? How will you be feeling? How will your faith have grown? All of this is going to yield itself from your intentionality right off the bat in 2020. Right off the bat in the first month of 2020. All these things. Take some time. Set aside. Don't live reactively. Live proactively in 2020. Live proactively in 2020. Stay humble as you succeed, as you continue to grow, as you get more and more successes under your belt. Let that humble you even more. With every success, let yourself get more and more humbled and more grateful, more and more focused and driven on the long term, because the long term is already here and now. Basically, all we have is this moment right now. We're not promised tomorrow and yesterday is over. Right now is what we have. Make the most of right now. Be intentional. Be intentional. Take some time to prepare. If you haven't already, we have episodes in the queue from Joe Duncan, who's the founder of Before 5 a.m. Very effective planning methods he shares in that interview. More so than goals this 2020, what I'm going to focus on is the habits and systems. And the goal will be there. I'll have written it down, the process, the system. Because again, I believe that we don't rise to our most esteemed goals. We fall to our lowest habits and systems. Adjust your systems, adjust your habits, notice your habits, assess them, be honest with yourself about them. You know the things that you're doing that are not conducive to your future success are not your friend. They're not going to help you, no matter what it may be. Try your best to be honest with yourself about that in the beginning of 2020. Do it now. Don't wait. Set aside time today or tomorrow or this weekend to get clear on your vision for 2020. Write it out. Write down exactly where you want to be in life in 2021, this day, next year, January 6, 2021, what you want your life to look like. If you want a nice car, write it down. And write down the year, the color, the model, the make, and every feature you want that car to have. Write it down. Write down explicitly what you want. If you're single, write down exactly things that you would hope to be that would attract your future spouse. If you want to live in Hawaii, write that down. Find a specific town, island, town, and house. And 2021 is coming quickly. The one major thing I would hope that all of you avoid in 2020 is to front end load it too heavily. A lot of us are doing incredibly well. A lot of us are coming into 2021 with blinders on and success on our minds, and we're driven and we're pushing hard and we're going fast and we're focused. Don't want to let this year get away from me. So that said, set some time aside. You may have to sacrifice. You may have to you have to do what it takes to set aside committed time for your goal setting, for your system implementations. Like, what is that going to look like? And don't beat yourself up too much when you don't hit it every single time. If you're someone who says, I need to exercise, but I don't, then start identifying with someone who is really healthy. What do they do? Okay, then that's what I do. I eat more produce because it's good. It makes me feel amazing. I have clearer thoughts. I don't get burned out by 4 o'clock. I don't have to go for that extra coffee, whatever it is. That is what you want to re-identify with in terms of getting to your goal. That said, 2020 is here. Again, thank you so much for subscribing to the show, sharing the show. I would love to record a specific episode that shares all the successes from 2019. Yeah, we had some great successes. I'll just share with you guys. We've had thousands of downloads from 2019. We're in over 40 countries now. People are soliciting the show frequently to become guests on the show, and these are legit guests, by the way. An example of this was Joe DeSena's publicist actually reached out to the show after we had posted an episode with Greg McKeown, author of Essentialism. They actually reached out to us at the Heart Healthy Hustle show. So it is growing. It is becoming something bigger. And I'm excited for 2020. It's a long game, and I really have been enjoying this process so much. And I thank you so much for listening and coming along on the journey, a part of Triple H Nation. And I thank you again for just being loyal to the show and letting me know how I can improve it and how it can get better and what you would like to see and who you'd like to hear from. All that being said, live wide open and Godspeed. Congratulations on making it to the end of this episode. What about this episode stood out to you? Next, I need your help sharing this show. I want this podcast to impact and reach 6,000 people per episode by August 31st, 2019. And I want us to reach 15,000 people per month by March 29th, 2020. Have you been enjoying multiple episodes of the Heart Healthy Hustle? I'm thrilled to share with you an exclusive invitation to join our new Facebook community. To get to know other Heart Healthy Hustlers, simply go to thehearthealthyhustle.com/Facebook, where you can expect to see different members of our community being featured weekly in Facebook Live calls. I appreciate all of your love and support, and I will see you in the next episode. As always, be generous on every occasion. There is a story for you, and live wide open.